there's a moral crusade, I think, to save Muslim women or to rescue them from their culture, from their religion. Nobody I've ever met and worked with in these rural communities in Egypt or elsewhere ever envied Western women. They envied the lack of poverty that they thought existed. They envied certain kinds of things, but they were very happy to be Muslims. It was very important to them for their self-understanding, for their way of coping in the world. One of the ways that I think that moral crusade is authorized is through really the high moral ground of human rights, international women's rights. There are these cultural legal categories that have been created through the UN, through a whole range of means to give a name to certain kinds of violence. You can see it so clearly in Europe, again, where Germany, Scandinavia, there's been a huge production of the honor crime. And I think that feeds into a larger politics and makes it believable and makes people feel morally, compelled to support certain kinds of interventions that they might not have otherwise. And so the question is, how can we see what we could do to make people's lives better elsewhere besides rescuing them from their cultures? Let's look at what we're doing that's making women's lives in Afghanistan so difficult. If you've got, this incredible poverty, you've got this militarism, you've got people with guns everywhere, you've got really terrible problems there now. Women are deeply affected by that, and part of that is our responsibility. So that's the part we could work on. And I say, maybe we should stop and not say, do Muslim women have rights or don't have rights, or does Islam give women rights or take rights away from them? Are there better alternatives? Which is sort of the way we all talk about these issues. And I say, well, let's look at who uses this concept of Muslim women's rights or human rights. It would be the same thing. Where, what kinds of documents, what kinds of organizations, what kinds of meetings, where does it work in the world, and what does it produce in the world, and what then isn't produced if we are focused on this circulation of this concept of Muslim women's rights. So that's the kind of other level at which I think it's a constraining framework for understanding people's lives, because I do think the way we understand things shapes the kinds of solutions that we can imagine.